So this is the top 10 as we've had them so far. This was in September I did them last, and since then we've had some releases. I'm going to go through them in the order that they were released to sort of give us a look through them and see where they go in. I'm going to start with the ViWoods Mini. This with ViWoods AI Paper Mini. Here it is. Where does it go in my top 10? I was hopeful for this. I really was. I was really expecting it to be really quite good, because I was really expecting it to be just as good as the AI Paper itself. Well, you can see where it is. The ViWoods AI Paper is there at number 5, because the ViWoods AI Paper has the Carta 1300. So that is the best current black and white e-ink screen. It is incredibly thin and light, and whilst the Mini is thin and light, it's not shockingly thin and light. It's not world's most thin and light, which the ViWoods AI Paper is. And it has exactly the same software as well, no, it's not exactly the same software, because I was just looking up before the stream just to double check if there was going to be any updates for it. We are still on version 0 of the thing. So this is something you can actually buy, and it's still in version 0. So yeah, it is a nicely thin device, but it just doesn't feel like the kind of cutting edge, up-to-date device that the ViWoods AI Paper itself does as well. It just feels to me that it is unfinished, and you know, the poor relation, if you like, of the AI Paper. I don't know if you noticed as well there, I often get accidental presses of the 3 buttons at the bottom of this device as well. So it's not current hardware. It isn't the latest screen. It doesn't actually have a warm light. I think I'm right in saying it's just got one light here. It is, I think, Carta 1100, so it is quite a lot older. There is a significant gap between the top screen and the actual e-ink, the top of the screen and the e-ink. So it doesn't have that really nice close to paper feeling that the ViWoods AI Paper does. And as I said, the software just seems like they've just shoved it from one thing onto the other without really giving much thought. And as I said in my review of it, they haven't even made it such that all of your notes from one syncs automatically to the other. Certainly not that I can see as well. So pretty poor, I think, in those respects. If it doesn't link with other ViWoods devices, what's the kind of point at this point? In the apps as well, there is no Google Play, and I have been able to sideload some things by getting the Aurora Store. Got no issues with doing that, but it would be far better and far more secure to have all of those apps managed by Google Play on their device as well. And I hope they'll bring that, because I think that they certainly hasn't been updated onto my ViWoods AI Paper, the big one, the Google Play Store yet. But I hope that they will bring Google Play Store to both of them. I think that is in the kind of offing. But right now, certainly, there's no Google Play at all. And in my opinion, the ViWoods AI Paper, where does it go in this list? The Mini, sorry. It doesn't go onto this list at all. It's not better currently than the Tab Mini C. It is not currently something that I would recommend over the Boox of the same size, which just has far more complete software. It feels like the software is unfinished on the ViWoods AI Paper Mini. So sorry, guys, work to do on that one. Maybe it could still be, but it's got a lot of work to do to get ahead of the Boox Tab Mini C, in my opinion. So that one doesn't get into the top 10. Any surprises about that? I saw earlier on, a review of the AI Paper Mini, which was sponsored for a start. And you know, the disclaimer was there very early on in it, that it was a sponsored review. And the gentleman talked about having used it for weeks and still using it every day. But then when he showed it, you know, when a reviewer hasn't used it for a long time, when they've got a couple of notebooks and they're all called test. I did use this for 2 weeks. I did use it in my lessons to show some calculations of capacitors. Here's my 2-week planner. You know, I did try my best with this device, I really did. And you know, my kind of work, as you can see there, I actually had a moment where it lost my entire day's planning. It didn't save my planning on this PDF. So I did try my best with this, I promise. All of these devices I've tested out for that length of time. So using the PenStar was a better experience than using the ViWoods Paper Mini. So the second one I tested recently was the PenStar, and I was just asked recently, are they planning on upgrading this, because there is a Hanvon, they're called N1 or something, or N10, I can't remember. There is a Hanvon which is out with the 300 ppi screen. Are they planning to update it? Yes, I think they are. I don't know for sure, but I think there will be, you know, it would be a bit of a no-brainer to do if the Hanvon hardware exists and they could just port their software onto it. with its English operating system, then it would just make sense for them to bring that out. There were some positive things here. Now, the main selling point of this is an incredibly rough paper feeling screen, a pen only input, and yeah, that's the kind of main thing. And so buttons across the side here as well. And most of us said, although buttons are a cool idea, you're constantly having to press the top button to bring up the list and then work through that as well. So I quite like the feel of the pen only. It did have, you know, I actually opened this back up again. You keep doing that. Your muscle memory of selecting things with your finger is so strong. You keep doing that you just sort of touch things like this. And the reason for that is that it does have a very small gap between the top surface and the screen, but even that, it's not as small a gap between that and the ViWoods or the Go 10.3 or some of the others as well that are in that kind of category. But I turned this on after not having used it for basically a month, and it was still on 50%. And it just woke up like that. It woke up from standby. So the battery life is quite good on here. It's nice. I haven't used it for quite a long time. It is really light. Picking it up again, I'm like, okay, yeah, that is really quite light. It is nice and thin. It is a nice design. It's a plasticky design. It's not the most premium design, but I think actually you'd forgive that if you were someone who really wanted to make sure you had the lightest kind of feeling, then actually you could forgive that. But there's just lots ahead of it. Okay, it's close. It's closer to getting into the top 10 than Bigme, but unfortunately this one is not going to get into the top 10 either. So the PenStar, it's up here. It's not a recommendation over the Tab Mini C or any of the others, I'm afraid. It's still got some things to do. It's kind of ditto the AI Paper Mini because that also has the last generation of screen. And this is the 227 ppi screen, which is fine, but it isn't the 300 ppi that we've all got used to. It does have a really nice pen in terms of the pressure levels. It's like around 8,000 levels of pressure, but the pen itself is not lovely though. It's a kind of plasticky lightweight thing. Okay, so I'm not, the pen is okay. It's not Wacom EMR, but it's actually officially got more levels of pressure. But I don't know if it's any more accurate or anything like that. It's fine. It's not a bad pen at all. Again, there's no Google Play. And I just think the buttons are a bit of a missed opportunity to have some kind of element that's always there, reminding you of it. I would think either have a little e-ink screen just next door to it, or maybe just have them to be translucent buttons with a little bit of e-ink or a little strip of e-ink underneath it, or even a little strip of LCD if you can't fit e-ink in there, so that when they change, it actually just changes what they are, and you can clearly see exactly what they've changed to as it goes. That's what I would suggest for them in the future. But there we are. So one to watch, I think, PenStar, but this one is not a recommend over any of the top 10 that we have there. The next one that came out was the Note Air 4C. Okay, and well, everyone's expecting that to go now. At the very least, surely it's going to replace the Note Air 3C, and yeah, at the very least, it certainly will. It does have some issues, and as I said, we'll look out for my drawing review of it, because yeah, I was a bit disappointed with the drawing performance in the Notes app. I keep going on about wanting a Boox dedicated drawing app. It would make the thing so much better for me as a creative person. So I really hope they will do that at some point. I've been really enjoying it otherwise though. So the Notes app, a little bit of performance issues. Maybe it's just porting over to Android 13. I think the Android 13 is a much bigger operating system, so that might be part of that as well. There's some issues with that, but I'm not really living in the Notes app here. I'm living in other apps. And I'm actually making my notes on here in OneNote, which is really doing it for me. And then it's all there in my OneNote cloud as well. So that's I think really quite good. See, there just are some performance issues there as well. I've reviewed this loads of times. I'm not going to go in too many, but where do I think it goes? Do I think it goes in front of the Go 10.3? Is it enough of an improvement over the Note Air 3C? And it is a better screen than the Note Air 3C. Is it enough of an improvement over that to make it better than the Go 10.3? Well, I'm going to bow to kind of you guys, because although I've really enjoyed this, and it might well be the one that I would buy tomorrow if I was going to buy just one e-ink tablet, I think for most of you, the Go 10.3 is just the better option. So I think the Note Air 4C just replaces the Note Air 3C in its same position here in our table. And I don't think I'm wrong about that. I think this is very close, very similar things indeed, very similar use cases you can do there. But I think that the Go 10.3 has to really stay as our number one here in this list, for most people anyway. But it is like, the poll I did was like 48% preferred the Note Air 4C and 52%. That's out of 1,000 people. Thank you very much if you were someone who voted in that. So it's like a very, very narrow margin. Most people just prefer the Go 10.3. So the last one then is the Bigme B1051C. Firstly, they've replaced the pen. Good, well done to them. They've replaced the awful Bigme pen that we had before, but they have replaced it with an imitation, and that really is a bit of a shocker. I think that for me, the biggest thing about this, apart from the issues installing apps on it initially, I did eventually get Word to work on it as well. The biggest issue here is the problems writing, and I want to know, does anyone else have this already, and does anyone have the same issues? Because I just cannot make my handwriting look neat on here. If you look at the word cannot, it's not just me, but look at the kind of like wobbliness of those lines. I just, you know, my handwriting is normally pretty nice and I like writing. I just, especially in this corner here, the lines are just horrible. And I just looked at it the other day, I looked at some other YouTubers who've tried this out, and I'm looking at their handwriting on it, and they also have the same issue with lots of wobbles in the lines. And also with the clasp thing, you know, there is huge, when the clasp is here, there is huge gaps, huge dead spots on the screen when there's a magnet there. And it's just like, yeah, there's just so many things that just aren't quite there. And I still prefer the previous Bigme to this. The ink note was actually better. And I find the new design quite weird. I know that other people kind of like the idea, and I kind of get the idea of having a bit of a bezel on both sides. Oh, it did rotate correctly. They've sorted that, actually one issue. That's good news. That was one big issue that it did have. It's now rotating correctly. Okay, that's better then. Good job, Bigme, listening. It's now rotating correctly in the Notes app. It wasn't doing this before. It wasn't actually rotating in the Notes app. So now at least we've got that rotating. And yeah, I've got a little bit extra canvas. Will it go back to that? What will it do? Will it allow me to drag off the side? Yes, it does. There we are. So as soon as you've gone to landscape, you get a bit more extra room as well there. And I expect there's the same. That's a bug fix. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. But also, it's not the brand new Kaleido free like the Note Air 4C is, and it is not as good rendition of color on the older Kaleido free as it is on the newer Kaleido free. If I just go to something in the library, why not? Why put the home button at the top there when all Android has it at the bottom? Why not just do the same things? And it's just, you know, you can just get slightly richer colors here on the newer Kaleido free than you can on the older Kaleido free. So again, not necessarily a reason to replace it. You know, should it go in? I think this is the thing. Should it go into the top 10? At least, surely I could say it's, you know, it's the newer version. Surely it must go in ahead of the Inknote X. But no, honestly, the Inknote X doesn't have that issue. It doesn't have the issue of the bad writing. That I've done some lovely drawings on the Inknote X, which I can show you, which don't have that issue of the writing not looking good. This was done on the Inknote X, and the lines are lovely. They're not wobbly at all. They're really nice lines. I don't think they're as nice as Remarkable lines could be sometimes. The pen tools aren't as good as the Remarkable ones, but at least I can say they're accurate and not this kind of jittery thing that I get out. Look, if I use the exact same tool, it must have been the brush in black and white, I just can't get the same kind of, a lot smaller. I just can't get the same kind of been the brush, then maybe it was the pen. I just can't get the same kind of quality of mark out of this device. It starts wobbling around like silly things than I could on the Inknote X. So for me, Bigme have gone a bit backwards on this one. So that's my new top 10. I'm sorry if it disappoints any of you, and I'll get some opinions now. If you're expecting a little bit more controversy at the top there, but it hasn't changed much. The only thing that's changed about the actual current top 10 is it's now the Note Air 4C rather than the Note Air 3C. What do you think of that? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm way wrong? Let me know in the chat. I'll just say about the Viwoods and the Inknote X, but first of all, some people were quite surprised at where they were in there. I'm not. I think objectively, I think actually that when you think about what you can get on the Viwoods, they're just clinging on the Viwoods because the Viwoods is currently the only way to get the 1300 screen on anything of this size. Bigme Ink Note X is a powerful tablet for apps, does have the color screen over a couple of the others. I understand they're a bit controversial because I've said about both of them the software is flawed, but maybe the hardware makes it worth a purchase still. And the Viwoods, the larger one, and the Ink Note X, I did really enjoy using them for work. If they were the only ink tablet that I had, neither of them would I be saying that they were bad. I would be saying they were really good, because e-ink tablets are fabulous, but there are better e-ink tablets than both of them. Both of those served the purpose that I wanted them to. Some people saying, yeah, top 10 seems reasonable, thank you very much. Go 10.3, some supporters in there as well. Yeah, absolutely. 10.3 is number 1. We'll see number 2. That should be soon. Nubahoy should be soon functional. 2 brand new devices left out, I know. 3 brand new devices left out of top 10 tabs. 3 of them. Note X Color will be the most fun eReader in Q1, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to see it. I think they will do a Tab X Ultra C. Viwoods has a front light, the Mini does, but it's only cold front light. It's not even by color, which we expect now. Gotta Go 10.3 would be cool to get tips on workflows and thinking. Yeah, I think, Neil, what I'm gonna be doing at the minute, obviously this is sort of buying season right now. I'm trying to help people with their buying decisions. I'm gonna make, my content is gonna become a bit more kind of reflective about how I'm using things that I do in the new year. It's my sort of thinking anyway. I'll obviously be bringing new releases, but certainly, yeah, my sort of workflows and things. Absolutely, I agree. Some useful ideas down there as well. Why do you choose Remarkable over Boox? Is there a mobile and desktop app? Yeah, I'm using the desktop app right now. I'm able just to read off it from my screen and my teleprompter, so that's a very useful thing actually as well. And it does make it very easy to transfer files. Certainly, ease of use for Remarkable is something that definitely recommends it. But I personally think that ease of use for most people, the ease of use means you can't do certain workflows. The Remarkable Pro is a great replacement for paper, whereas the other guys are better for fitting into existing workflows. And any workflow involving apps, of course, you can't do on the Remarkable Pro. So you need to have one of the Boox tablets, is my opinion, is the best one for doing that as well there. Cool, hope that helps. Go 10.3, missed the color for highlighting in ebooks, yeah. The writing experience is worse on Boox. Remarkable seems to improve my ugly writing style. I also plan to buy a Paper Pro soon. I think that's probably a good mix, Lucas, yeah. You've got apps on the Go 10.3. You've got lovely paper feelings here as well. So yeah, a good mix up there. My colleague got a Paper Pro. It's writing like on paper, but it's limited. Got the Go 10.3, it's almost the same feeling, won't do much more of it. Absolutely agree with that, Biffa. Remarkable 2 was kicked off the bottom of the list couple of iterations ago. It's still good, but I mean, for the same reason that I didn't let the PenStar or the AI Paper Mini into the top 10, because they're the older generation of screen. It's, you know, if you're going to spend £300 or dollars or whatever around that, then you should at least be expecting the latest generation of screen. The original Kindle Scribe, right now, the 16 gigabytes, I'm seeing it $270. I think it was like 215 quid. £215 like over Black Friday, and that is stupendous value, like for a 300 ppi screen. And it's, yeah, sure, it's Carta 1200, but it's still much more up to date than what you're getting on the Remarkable 2. So for me, the Remarkable 2 can't quite come into this list because all the other ones have a more up to date screen than it. Yeah, and I don't think I've got anyone here now that have got the older generation of, okay, the Boox Tab X has, but that's the only 13.3. That's a 209 ppi screen, like similar ppi to the Remarkable, incidentally, Remarkable Pro. But apart from that, they're all the latest generation of screen pretty much. So that's it for me really. And it's a bit slower. It's got like 1 gigabyte of RAM or something, is it?